Welcome to this week's art tour. This week has been an unusual one in Southeast Alaska here. We have had brilliant sunshine, we've had heat, we have had many adventures out in our wilderness here. If you want to check out a vlog where I take you on one of our more remote trails to make an oil painting, check out this card up above. And the heat has brought a few challenges. I had one day that was almost comically ridiculous. I'll tell you a little bit more about that during the tour, but you might be able to tell I have so many bug bites from this one day where I went out in the brilliant sun. It was beautiful. I was making a painting. I was having fun. I do paintings on my daily walks every single day, and it's been a great learning experience. That day I learned a few things that didn't have as much to do with art as to how to be prepared. I just counted 14 bug bites across my neck. That doesn't count the ones on my back. I have one on my eye that right here that's starting to look like a bruise. I have bug bites up here. I have a big bug bite on that side. I also have paint smeared across my forehead that I haven't been able to scrub off yet. So it's been sort of an epic battle with in plein air art this week. And my name is Danelle, and I've been an artist for about 40 years, and on this channel I am having a lot of fun making new friends, learning from subscribers. If you would love to see art being made out in the beautiful Southeast Alaska wilderness and follow me along as I try new mediums. I've been an oil painter for all these years, but since starting this channel, I've been having fun with acrylic gouache, watercolors, and painting outdoors with my oil paints, which I hadn't ever done before. So it's been a really fun adventure, and I would love to hear your input. I'd really appreciate a subscribe, and if you'd consider even sharing one of my videos with someone who you think might find them interesting. It all supports the channel, and the more I get feedback from you, the more motivating it is for me to get out and make more videos, to make more paintings, to try new things. It's been a really fun adventure. Anyway, let's get into this week's art tour, and I'll tell you a little bit about some of the things that I learned and maybe some advice for you if you want to get out and do more in plein air painting. So let's get started on that. This week I started with some pencil sketches. I'm not really sure what motivated me to do that. I think I just wanted a simple day where I wasn't trying too many things all at once like I tend to do. And it was really fun to kind of just get back to basics of sketching. And I was trying to get the form in here of this little island. There is a house in back of these trees, and they have a ramp that goes down to a dock here. But this was a very quick sketch, probably took less than 5 minutes. I just wanted to get a sense of the form in there. I believe this was the same day. This one, I was trying to capture this cruise ship coming down the Tongass Narrows here. Our town is that way, so they were coming in for the morning, and it was moving fairly quickly. So I was trying to get it to look like a ship. I still haven't perfected. I've tried to capture these cruise ships many times as they come into town. It looks way too chubby, and it's not quite in proportion. It's easy to see that it is, I think it's a carnival ship. They have these funny wings on top. This is at a beach real close to my house. Then as it passed by, I tried to capture it again as it went by, but and it's not bad except for the proportions make it look about half as long as really these cruise ships are. It should have actually been about this long. But still a very good practice. Even your bad sketches, your bad paintings, the ones you don't like so much, still an excellent practice, especially when you're trying to go really fast and capture something, just training your eye, and doing my best that day. This is the same beach. I think I did all of those in one morning session. This one turned out quite a bit better. This is the same little island with the little ramp and the house that's behind there, and then there's we're on, our town Ketchikan is on Revillagigedo Island. This island across Tongass Narrows is Gravina Island, and that's where our airport is. It's just right back there. And then there's these little islands in the middle of the channel. Someone lives on this one. There's a few others that are uninhabited. I kind of like the way this one turned out. I felt like I got a decent value range. I was using an 8B pencil, a very old pencil that's very worn down. And one more pencil sketch. This is, I would say, took me longer. I don't know if I'd call this a sketch, but this kingfisher bird, this was drawn from a photo that a friend of mine took. I got her permission to use her photos. She takes a lot of nature photos here locally. And I really liked the way this turned out. I plan to do a painting, maybe an oil painting portrait of this bird. I love kingfishers. We actually live on a road called Kingfisher Road here. I'd say my biggest criticism of this would be that I didn't I didn't center it on the paper well, and I was so interested in his head. I got the head really big, and then as I went back here, I realized, uh-oh, I don't have room for the tail, which is kind of sad. I'm actually, when I paint this, I'm looking forward to the tail because it's a very, very deep slate blue, and it has a row of white, bright white dots on it, so I think that's going to be fun. So I'm waiting for the weather to get kind of dark and rainy, and I'll be motivated to paint in my studio and do a little oil portrait of this guy. And here I was again on the same beach as this one. I did a little closer up. This island is actually over here, so this is from a little bit different view. The tide was much higher, so the rocks aren't as exposed as they are in this one. Tide was very low this day. We have very large tides, big swings. And I was very enchanted by this little sailboat that was anchored there for about a week. And I actually lived on a sailboat with my family all through my high school years, so sailboats were one of my very first subjects that I would draw all the time when I lived on the sailboat. I loved drawing sailboats. I actually really enjoyed living on the sailboat, even though we often were quite isolated. My dad liked to anchor out instead of be in marina, so we often were just out in some quiet cove. And that is how I got to Southeast Alaska, is we were living on the sailboat in Seattle, Washington. And in 1981, we sailed up the Inside Passage to Ketchikan, and then that's how my life in Ketchikan started. So this is acrylic gouache, and I've been working very hard on getting my reflections to be better. I am painting water a lot here because it is a rainforest. And we're on an island, so there's always water to be painted, and so I've been working very hard on reflections. And here is a simple little portrait of two trees growing right next to each other out in a muskeg, which we call our bogs. Anyone who's been following the channel for a while knows that there are a lot of muskegs here, and probably know what they are now. They have this very warm, orangey yellow sort of boggy surface. I'd say my biggest criticism of this painting, although I like the way the trees turned out, I think it's pretty good. One thing that I keep doing that I am working on stopping doing this is I will look at trees and all I see is trees and green, because somehow my eye is only seeing here. These trees actually poked up against the very blue sky up here. The greenery, the very thick trees behind did not go all the way to the top, but somehow my mind wanted the green to go all the way to the top. I thought of painting over this with gouache so that I could put that blue sky in there, because this is watercolor, and I can't really change the color now, but that's something I'm working on, and always learning and always trying to be better at painting what I actually see, not what my intellectual side of my brain thinks that should be there. So I'm taking time now to look top to bottom to really see what am I seeing in that composition. Here's a little watercolor painting that I did, and this was a rather buggy day too, so I was hurrying a little bit through this. There's a little island right here that I wasn't quite able to get these trees to look distinct against the trees in the background, and That's just because I'm not terribly good at watercolor yet. I've always been an opaque medium painter, so I'm trying to be better with watercolor. Also, watercolorists will probably hate that I did this. I was probably hurrying too much, and I ended up with this. I don't know what you call this. I know it's not quite a, maybe it's a cauliflower. I'm learning about all these watercolor terms. Wasn't sure how, I guess I could pool some clear water into these trees and then lift some of the color out. I think I did that a little bit on this tree. I just haven't tried to rework this one. I actually don't hate it. I think it's actually not a bad composition. I've painted this pond many times, but I've mostly painted the left side of this pond, so this day I was trying to get a little different view. This is a little muddled. This side is very thick with just kind of a mess of trees and shrubs and things, so I would have liked to achieve getting this to pop forward a little bit more. This area here got a little bit mixed up with the trees and back, but I don't hate it. It was a fun little sketch to do on my morning walk, and I learned something. And then to help with my learning, I also felt that my drawing in the painting wasn't terribly accurate. The distance between here was too wide. I tend to see pond, and then I want to make a big pond. So I realized that the distance, I always take a photo of the scene before I leave so that I can kind of compare and see how accurate my drawing and colors and the whole composition is. So I redid this. You can see when I drew this more accurately, this distance here between this little island and the island and back was actually much narrower, and the foreground was up quite a bit higher. So that was gratifying to just kind of come home and fix the drawing. But honestly, I think that the drawing works fine here. I just wanted to just teach myself, kind of give myself a lesson in drawing and correcting what I'd done. So that was that day. And here is the day where the bugs attacked. This was insane. This is acrylic gouache, and I was sitting in a muskeg and looking down over a long distance, a hill that goes down. This is the saltwater back here. This is the Tongass Narrows, and then the distant islands back here. This day was just fated to be unlucky. I forgot my tea. I always bring tea with me. I forgot my tea. I almost forgot my brushes. And when I got there, I realized I had also forgot my prepared paper. I always tape my papers down inside of a little cardboard carrier box so that, especially when the acrylic gouache is not dry yet, the carrier box, it's like a wet canvas carrier, will hold it so that the paint doesn't get disturbed while I carry it home. Well, I forgot the prepared paper that was inside the carrier box. Fortunately, I had this one spare piece of paper with me, so I decided to just go for it. At least I had my brushes. I also did not have bug spray. This was the day I got mobbed by, I was constantly swarmed by this huge swarm of no-see-ums, little gnats. And they were just savaging my face, and it was so hot I had a tank top on. They bit my shoulders, they bit my shoulder blades, the backs of my arms, my hands, my face, and it was miserable, absolutely miserable. I just couldn't, I got paint all over me because I was holding my brushes, and then I would swipe a bug away from my face, and then I would hit myself in the face or my shoulder with my wet paintbrush, so I was getting paint everywhere, I was getting bitten. So I only finished this one maybe 3/4 of the way before I finally said, "Uncle," and I just went home, and so I finished the last half of this after I got home. It has all these I got the little dead trees in here, and I had a lot of work to do after I got home. But miraculously, I'm pretty happy with this painting. I like the way it turned out. I finally solved the problem I'd been having a long time with acrylic gouache of not getting deep enough values. I couldn't find in my sets a really dark color. All I had was purple and raw sienna, which I couldn't make really darks. I finally found in one of the sets I have this really dark blue. It's a Prussian blue, so that I could make some darker colors. So now I can get a deeper value range, and I think it has really helped my acrylic gouache paintings. So let me show you my one oil painting I did this week. Okay, so here is the one oil painting I did this week. I did this out on a very remote trail up high on a saddle that's between two lakes. If you would like to see a vlog of the hike and me painting this, check out the card that I'll put up above. This is called Wolf Lake, and it's pretty inaccessible. I think there used to be, I've always heard there was a trail that used to go down to that lake. It's quite a ways down there. Extremely thick, extremely steep. You can also come in a bay through here and walk up there. But again, it's almost completely inaccessible just due to the roughness of the terrain. But the hike that we take to get up here really isn't bad. It takes about 40 minutes. And it's just a beautiful area, huge open muskegs. We were just drenched in sun. In fact, it was so sunny. Here's another lesson I learned about in plein air painting. When you have direct, intense sun right on your painting, you're going to get home. Well, this is my experience anyway. I got home and these trees were, I thought I had painted them quite white. They're just these dead spikes. But when I got home in just normal light, they were so dark gray that they hardly had any value contrast at all. So after I got home, I did have to brighten up these trees in particular. I don't think I did much else. I think I added, there's some like dead, very pale little branches and trunks down here. I added just a little bit of this pale gray down there. And that's about all I did at home, but it was really interesting how the values looked so different once I got it home. So anyway, those are the works from the week, and I had a lot of fun, even though I did have a giant insect battle at one point. I now am carrying bug spray. I don't like wearing bug spray, but after that day, I am not taking chances because I am covered in bug bites and paint. And here is my last painting. I did this morning. No bugs, hooray! And it was I was sitting kind of in shadow, part shadow for most of this painting, but the sun was coming from back about here and hitting these mountain tops across this lake. About this angle, there was a hill here, and then this big mountain back here was being completely just shining in the light. So this was an interesting study in values. There's a little shore here, and this was another really good lesson in getting these reflections on the lake. I'm not sure I got it perfect. I wouldn't mind working on these reflections a little more. I think it might need some more light, maybe a lighter color, maybe a little bit of the sky color, just some very subtle little kind of ripples and waves in here to kind of help with these harsh transitions. But beyond that, I am pretty happy with this one. This is, did I already say this is acrylic gouache? Because that's what that is. So this was fun. Thanks for joining me on this week's art tour. Hope you learned something from my mishaps and my forgetfulness and some of the artwork that I've made. If you have any input, if you have funny stories about days where you went outside to paint and things didn't quite go the way you wanted, I would love to hear those. Anyway, I hope that you are staying creative and having fun while doing it.